Tonight, a British fighter who served with Reece Harding has spoken exclusively to 7:30, describing their dangerous mission and Harding's final operation. James Oaten reports.
It was mid-May and 23-year-old Australian Reece Harding was on patrol with Kurdish forces.
So of course this was all ISIS territory until a couple of weeks ago.
He joined dozens of foreign fighters who'd pledged support for the YPG, the Kurdish militia battling Islamic State forces in northern Syria. Reece had volunteered for the sabotage unit. His job was to dismantle mines and booby traps left behind by IS.
There it is. Which way's the wire going?
I know my friend Reece, he didn't have any combat experience, he didn't have any military experience. He went to help, and he was probably one of the best fighters I've ever fought with.
British Army veteran Joe Ackerman fought alongside the young Australian for a cause they both believed in.
Reading about all the things that had happened, the women being raped, children being sold, passed around like not even animals, like nothing. Innocent men and women killed. The murder, the brutality of ISIS, and no one else stepping in to do anything about it, just letting it happen.
Just an ordinary Aussie kid, just a nice kid. He did life-saving, was good at all his sports. And he would go on about ISIS, but like the rest of it, it didn't affect me. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mum, it didn't affect me, it didn't affect my family.
Reece loved to travel. When he told his parents he needed to get away from his Gold Coast home for a few days, they never imagined what he was planning.
And the first we actually knew where he was the tactical response group. Knocked on the front door, saying that he'd entered a restricted area.
It's hard. Living's hard. It's tough. It's dirty. It's ruthless. You know, they're a very young army. The YPG is very, very young. It's 4 years old. And they just have to pass these lads straight from training, straight into fight.
For Joe, Reece Harding stood out from the beginning. He was different to some of the men who were there just for the thrill of the fight.
I think deep down he was a soldier. I didn't just want to come out and kill things, like a lot of them do. They think it's like Call of Duty. It was not. We were brothers in arms, you know. Last 5 days, 10 days, we were very close. You know, we shared some good moments.
Joe Ackerman was with Reece Harding on his final mission. Just 7 weeks after joining the YPG, the young Australian tripped an anti-tank mine and was killed.
I knew he was gone. He took the full force of it. You know, he didn't suffer. I know this much for sure. When the mine hit, I'm not sure what it was. I think it was a big chunk of metal. Hit the side of my face, broke my jaw. Piece of metal went through that arm. I think it was 8 stitches, 9 stitches through that one. Went ripped through a bit of muscle tissue, and then through that arm there.
Back in Britain, Joe Ackerman is recovering from the blast that killed his mate.
Reece was just a kid.
Reece Harding is the second Australian killed fighting for the YPG. Ashley Johnston, a postman from Canberra, died 5 months ago when his unit was ambushed at an ISIS checkpoint. At a Kurdish funeral service on the Syrian-Turkish border, the former army reservist was hailed a hero.
These young men have gone, they've fought and they've died fighting against an organisation that is horrendously evil and only wants to enforce upon other people their wicked, horrible ideology.
Right, so here we are in northern Syria. Most of this bag is actually made up of rounds. If I were to go right to the bottom here, There's over 200 rounds.
British currency trader Mesa Gifford fought with the YPG for 5 months. During that time, he met Ashley Johnston and another Australian, former Union official Matthew Gardiner, who returned to the Northern Territory in early April.
Numerous occasions, the front lines were only sort of 100 metres away. So we'd hear them shouting at us, shouting Ali Akbar, Takbir, and all these other different sort of war cries.
He remembers Ashley Johnston as a capable fighter who was committed to the Kurdish cause.
And he was just, like me, moved by what was going on in the Middle East and appalled that no one was doing anything to stop it and doing nothing to really combat ISIS. He just felt like he had a certain set of skills and that he could utilise them effectively and actually really help people.
Another Australian, Brisbane man Ashley Dybel, is still in northern Syria fighting with the YPG.
I do have a very simple message to people. If you are thinking of going to fight in the Middle East, think again. Obviously there's a moral difference between fighting for the Islamist death cult and fighting for those who are doing their best to defend Iraq and the Kurdish areas from the death cult, but nevertheless this is a very dangerous place and Australians shouldn't go there.
Under Australia's foreign fighters legislation, there's no distinction between those supporting Kurdish forces and those fighting with IS. The law simply declares large swathes of Syria as no-go zones. Any Australian fighting with the YPG could face up to 10 years in prison. Reece Harding's family want the government to treat YPG fighters differently.
We've got to change public opinion for these foreign fighters that are fighting against ISIS and allow them to come home safely.
The foreign fighters legislation was only passed by the Parliament at the end of last year. It's in its early days, and the government is satisfied with the way in which the foreign fighters legislation has been drawn up.
Reece Harding's body returned to Australia 4 days ago. At a Kurdish ceremony in Melbourne, he was hailed a hero and a martyr to their cause.
We will be forever indebted to you for bringing our son home. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us.
Reece Harding's parents are adamant that other young Australians shouldn't join the war.
There's been a lot of press and a lot of fuss about Reece being a hero, but I don't want any other children or young people to take up the cause. Reece had never held a gun, and he's dismantling booby traps and landmines.
If anything happens to me, parents, I love you. Brother, I love you. And Isabel, I love you.
You're angry at him because he's died, and he didn't have to, but at the same time you're really proud that he's your son.
James Oaten reporting.